and like everybody is welcome. I welcome everybody. All you guys are welcome. All right, so we are in to I don't know, but we are back again for our live streaming section of tutorials, or let's say topics. And well, if you've been following us for a while, you should you kind of get to know areas of concentration. Like, let me just say, it's just all about students and how the ways they should live, how they should. We don't have much to say, just about students, and we are trying to. All our effort is towards making students or a kind of being a better person in future, a kind of them ending well after the whole stress of secondary school, university. They're actually going to end well. We're not going to be happy seeing them being frustrated in life because of some they were not opportunity to get some necessary knowledge or guideline that pertains to other areas of their life apart from academically. Because as I said in one of our like section, that school teach you academically uh, about a discipline or about a course, but life on its own has a course that it will teach you. And when you're not prepared, and when you're not conscious and intentional and expecting it, it's going to hit you really hard. And when it do like when it hits a student really hard, it always ends up bad, a kind of that. So that's uh that's for that. And moreover, the last live review session we did, we discussed a lot about. So again, let me just check our last live streaming section topic. Okay, okay. The last live streaming section topic we had was mental and emotional preparedness, and we said a lot. We said a lot, guys. I don't even have energy, but we said a lot. We really said a lot. We said a lot about mental and emotional preparedness. And let me just throw more light as as normal as I usually do. So three more lights here is mental emotional preparedness. First, we explain what is mental, being the ability of you, like the kind of mental is, it has to do with your mentals now, that kind of a thing. Then we said about emotional, it just, it's more like innate something, a kind of acting something. Do you get, like emotional, like it's something triggers it, maybe anger or happy, like all of those things are like is around emotional, being emotional. When you say someone is emotional or you act emotionally, kind of that. So that's what that. Then preparedness is when your mental and emotional is prepared. If you're a student, when it's prepared, and when it's prepared, it's going to be a kind of helping you in doing some things. Emotional and mental and emotional preparedness, this was our last live streaming section topic, and it was amazing, guys. So I urge you, if you're here and you're not opportune to maybe follow us or watch our last live streaming section, I urge you to just try going back. Let me not say go, just try going back. It will really help you, very student. Like, it's, we discussed a lot. A lot was said on the matter of mental and emotional preparedness. Now, we also said, I'm just showing more light, I'm still coming into this topic, or I'm just showing more light on the previous one. So we discussed a lot about mental and emotional preparedness, and we said if a student is mentally and emotional prepared, he or she will be seeing things in different perspective. Like, he or she is going to be seeing things outside the box. Like, he or she is going to have the ability to comprehend things, like even to act under pressure, to make some better decisions within a specific period of time, to think clearly, like even under pressure, and to handle situations even when they are maybe, when the ground gets heated, like maybe when they're angry, all of those things. So these are mental and emotional preparedness, and we said a lot. And luckily, like, we as well fished out, or step by step, how one can actually fix this. If you discover that you're emotional, or like you're a student and you're not mentally and emotional prepared, and this can be, like, it can be anybody, so it's not a bad thing, just like normal something. So I don't feel bad if you're a kind of evolved victim of that. So a kind of map to actually fix it. So that was what we said there. So it was very, very amazing, and we said a lot. And let me still say something about the lot you said. The lot you said there was when you have when you're emotional and mentally stable and prepared. Let me not use stable, just preparedness, because now you're going to be strong mentally when situation hits you. Like when you get hit by life, like when things happened, you're going to be capable or able to handle some things, handle pressures, handle issues. Like you're not going to easily quit, you're not going to easily start complaining, you're not going to easily give up on yourself. So that is what all we said, and it really gives sense. Like we really communicated sense on that last like administration. It was mind blowing. Like it's cool. I mean it's it was cool. So I want all my students, all my audience to just try checking last lecture session. It was cool. Okay, and today we have something sweet. I don't know, very cool something, and you're not going to be affording to miss it. So you can take your Bible as I normally say, and I believe that my students are capable to comprehend everything I'm saying, regardless of writing. Alright, so stick because we have something cool, and in today's like finish section we have something is coming, something is coming. And what is that? Okay, in today's live streaming section we have money shock after school. Jesus, this because money money shock after school. Let me repeat. Money shock after school. And you guys know that all my live streaming session is for students all over, and our primary objective or goal is to make sure that we reduce that saying that school is a scam. And by doing that, you're actually going to be teaching students the right things, or less say things they should know even while they are still in school, things they should know while they are still schooling, things they should know even when they are out, so that they are going to be handling things not only academically, because as I said, school teaches you about a discipline, and life has its own lesson that if you're not being guided, like if you're not being or if you're not well equipped, you're going to be falling victim, like you're going to be a victim of that, and it's going to really affect even all aspects of your life. And it will not bring that saying that school is a scam. Do you get it now? It will be a scam if you fail not to pay attention, or let's say if you fail not to be a kind of well equipped in all of these things I'm going to be saying here now, because or let's say all the things we have been saying already, if you fail not to know it, you're not going to okay. If you get the knowledge, if you know all of those things that we are talking about, it's going to direct your path as a student in some certain areas. You're going to start doing some things, you're going to start seeing life, start seeing school as a kind of opportunity for you to also build other things. You get it now? So that's all our primary goals, and it's very simple to help all Nigerian students in the aspect of knowing about life after school. That's just all we're covering. And inside our body topic, I don't know, we have been saying a lot already. And in today's tutorial, as I said earlier, we have money shock after school. Now this is a very broad topic, and I'm going to try my possible best in breaking it down so that you understand it better. Okay, so at first, oh, okay. Sorry, guys. I feel Jesus. You have your feeling. Okay. At first, let me introduce myself. Many people know me already. This we have graphics, and our videos we have been teaching tutorial growth, and all our live streaming sections are of our students, like teaching students. As I said, I'm not repeating, just stuff like that. And this web graphics, if you're seeing me for the first time, I honestly welcome you. I appreciate everybody here, and I'm seeing you everybody. You can drop uh okay, you're cool. Like you can drop anything. Like I really appreciate the fact that you guys are here. So you can drop your name, you can drop your location, you can drop your school, you can drop wherever that you can drop. I'm seeing you, and I really appreciate the fact that you're here, as I said earlier. So without wasting much time, let's get into the business we have today. So in today money shock after school, as I said, it's very broad. I will try my possible best in breaking it down. At first, at first, the big shock, it's just like a shock. Okay, at first, let me just bring it down. At first, we're going to define money, and remind you, is for students, and is really going to help you. If you're a student and you're watching, you're in a very, very great advantage, as you said. So let's get started. I said big shock. This like the big shock. Now this big shock is just like something that they don't know, they don't see, they don't expect it coming. They are not aware of it. It can be referred as a shock, and a big one at that. And when it hits you, my God, you like when you're not prepared and it hits you. The story is for the gods. Let me just say the story for the gods. So I am just a kind of trying to pass a bit knowledge here, which is I was just trying to explain what shocks me. It's like a big shock, the big shock. Now the big shock is students. Let me just say this, and this is a kind of, if you ask a kind of an average student this is what they think and this is what they believe that works. They believe that once they are from school, life is going to figure itself out. Once they are from school, like things is just going to start fixing themselves, like just because they go to school, like just because they were able to attend university and obtain a good certificate, like life is going to be easy. Let me tell you, normally, like sometimes, let me just say sometimes, because actually sometimes it can still work out there, like it can still just work out like that. But most times some plans like do fail. And as I said in one of my videos, circumstances can cause a lot of things, situations or a lot of things can cause a lot of things. So you're not going to be sure, or let's just be shocked on that particular thing, or let's just say rely totally on it, because when it fails it's not going to come up well with you. Like you're actually going to break down, and this is what we are trying to avoid here. All right, yeah. So that's a big shock that students believe is not is a shock, because that's what they believe and they don't know the other side of it by believing that uh, once they are from school, life is going to fix itself. Maybe life is going to fix itself in the sense of by maybe they are going to just get a very good paying work and they're just going to start earning, and like they're just going to be well okay just because they graduated from maybe one of the best school and all of those things. So it's a big shock. Now I'm going to still bring it down. If you're a student and you're having this mindset, or you know somebody that is thinking like this, or let's say having this a kind of strong belief of this is actually a wrong motive, and it's not just advisable to start having as a student. Because in one of my previous video I said, like from section as well, I mentioned a plan B, and I tried defining a plan B. Plan B can be a kind of a supportive, a kind of something that is a kind of that you put second, that if the first one fails, you're going to be kind of you're not still going to feel like you have a support system. It's a plan B normally serves as a support system that helps someone stand when the first option failed. You get it? So anything can be a plan B on a student side when it has to do with life. And life, I mean, in this context, something being a plan B can be a kind of second option, because you ought to have a second option or second plan. Like when the first one fails, you're not going to be a kind of you're not going to be down, or let's say you're not going to start thinking that, like you're not going to just die, or let's say commit suicide. You get it now? So this is just it. So I urge you to okay, you can still check it. I think I forgot the topic, but if you check with the our Lashmi so far, you will see you one of the videos section. I talked about it. I elaborated a lot, and a lot was said. All right, guys. So the big one of the big lie, and this big lie, and whatever I'm saying here, I'm not to scare students anyway. I'm just a kind of, it's just more like an eye opening, like to enlighten you on something, to open your eyes to some vital things you need to know. So just be cool. I'm not here to scare you, and whatever I'm saying, I'm being real. Like it's facts. I'm not a kind of trying to kind of do any other thing in regards to that. But whatever I'm saying here is for our own good, because me and as well, I'm as well a student. You get? So the big shock, as I said, I try explaining big. Okay, we have not done that. So at first, big is just like a big something, and shock is just like more of surprise, something like that. that one like did not expect and it hits one, it can be seen or referred as a shock. Now, after big shock, okay, the big shock the student believe. Now student believe this and it really shocks them. Do you get? So that, don't mind my this thing, but that's you're actually heading somewhere. And if you follow us serially, you're going to get everything we're saying here. So school ends, okay, school ends, like support, okay, school, like it's just like school when students are still in school. Now, under the big shock, when students are still in school, remember they are being funded. Most of their bills, they are being is being like support, like they are getting support from their parents, they are getting support from their or senior ones, sorry, they are getting support from their relative and all of that. Now, this is a different thing. I'm trying to break this thing down. Now, when a student is under this, like he or she is getting support, he or she has the support system, maybe parents or anything around that gives him or her money. Now, they are going to or live in a certain way, and living in a certain way, that is what you're talking about. In a certain way that you're going to be living is getting to know some things and get to know things you ought to start putting in ground, that will help you even when those support system, when you start lacking those support system, or let's say when those support system is no longer available, you're still going to stand your ground. Do you get it? Now, when students are in school, as I said earlier, they are being sponsored, they are being support, like they are being cared for by their parents and all of those things. Now, let me show you, when you're out from school, you're going to be surprised. Surprised, I mean, here is this is just more like a student when you're still in school versus when you are from school. Let's just safe to say, so a student still in school, a student out from school. Now, as I said, a student still in school is more like you're being supported, like parents gives you, or if you call your popsy, oh popsy, I need this, he or she gives you. If you call this one, mommy, I need this, my this one finished, they are going to support you. Now, that's a student still in school. Now, a student out from school used to shock some people. Now, let me tell you, when you out, and remind you, all those or what's it called, allowances and all of those things, they may be reduced or stopped totally. Now, they may be reduced because one is that you're no longer in school, you're no longer a student, you're out, they have trained you, you're expected to start earning, you're expected to start cashing for yourself, you're adult, which you cannot deny. Do you get it now? So those what's it called, privileges and those access to some getting some things from them might be cut short, or like maybe reduced, or even stopped totally. Like they're going to stop giving you all of this, or they're going to reduce it to a minimum distinct number. Do you get it now? So this is when a student will now realize that, like, at it will get at a point, like they'll be at a point, they'll be like, sorry guys, they'll be like, what are you still doing here? Your mates are making money, or let's say they will start or criticizing you. What are you still doing here? What are you even doing with your life? Do you get it now? Now, this is a student are from school. As I said earlier, a student still in school versus a student out from school. A student out from school, you're going to be criticized when you are not stand your ground. And the most, I don't know, our country now is just like more like unemployment and all of those stuff. So if you're a student at from school, you're not expected to be a kind of I don't know, you're not expected to be uh like you're not expected to start lacking in all of these things. You should know this even before you are from school. So that's why, and that is why we are making all of these sections for our Nigerian students. You get, if when you're out, you're expected to start doing some things, you're expected to start taking some responsibilities. The societies have started looking at you, some of your parents, your junior ones, like, is a kind of heavy load to you. And when you're not stable, when you're not strong, when you're not standing strong, you're going to start slacking. And they are going to start seeing you as a failure. And those pressures at some point is going to start affecting your mentals, it's going to start affecting your or your health. It's going to start giving you depression. It's going to start affecting your views and all of those things. Do you get it now? You're going to start seeing yourself from a different way. And at that point, let me shock you, these are not just good because it has many bad sides, or let's say backside. Now, bad side I mean here is when you're pushed to the wall by being criticized, you're not profitable, you're just a failure, and all of those things. It's going to make you consider a lot of things, and these are bad. Like, these are not just going to end well. It's going to make you to consider a lot of things. And in this situation, if they can just dive in, or let's just say, or get into work that he or she normally won't or afford to do, or a kind of get into something that is not good, and at last is going to affect the future, or the future of that student, because he or she was pushed to a kind of start showing proofs and all of those things. And these are what you're trying to avoid. So there is a lot of emphasis that every student must know some certain things, put some certain things on ground, like lay some foundations even before getting asked from the university. Because as I said in one of my life sessions, like being in school is more like a golden opportunity that every student that was any student that is opportune to be in university should not miss or should not misuse, because it's more like a golden opportunity. Because there is a lot of opportunities, and there is a lot of chance, and there is a lot of opportunities, or anything can happen, and you can lay a lot of foundation. Like, you can get to mingle and connect with some vital people. Like, you can start up something over there, and you can start laying things. That just so it's more like an opportunity that anybody that attains there should not miss or should not misuse. You get? So that's for that. And you're still on the top. Oh, at first you on the that's the big shock. And we said a student still in school versus a student out from school, and that just we just try summarizing, like we just try saying brave something on it. And apart from that, at okay, secondly, we have first realization, degree immediate money. Now, degree immediate money, let me explain. First realization, degree immediate money. My god. All right, so first realization, degree immediate money. Now you can, if at first realization is just like what they will start seeing first. It's just like what they will just start seeing. People that are from university, if they are not, they are okay. People that has a primary, or let's just say a low or view of what life is about, this is their first this is their first realization. They are going to start, okay, at first they are going to see, it's just like more like first realization. They are going to start degree immediate money. They are going to see their degree, or let's say they obtains what they were opportune to obtain. Just like someone that obtained first class for second class and all of those stuff in school. And he or she is going to start seeing that as a great asset. Of course, like, of course is it, but uh at some point time, like, or let's just say, as I said, circumstances can just happen. So it's best to have a support system, or let's say plan B. All right, so on that as well, we're still emphasizing more. Okay, we said first realization, degree immediate income. Now they're going to start seeing their degree as something that is going to give them fetch, or fetch them immediate income. And most times it's not always like that. Now degrees, of course, you go to university to obtain a very good degree as was, or let's just say, our let me just say, what we know before about a degree is not what is actually working now. Let me explain. Degree, or let's say all of these obtains in university, coming out. So at first they told us that when you, or let's say life before was relied on, when you make a good degree, when you go to school, study hard and come out with flying colors, you're going to work in one of the best organizations and all of those things. This current era, or let's say this century, or let's say generation, is not always working like that. There is a lot of changes, a lot of things has changed. So you as well coming out with a golden certificate, or a golden obtains, is as well a kind of as well, it's gonna help, but it's not more like an a kind of a short something that you're going to depend totally on. Do you get it now? So you're actually going to have a support system that you've been emphasizing here. You're not that golden at first. We say students are going to be start seeing their degree as a golden opportunity, or let's say they are going to start seeing it's just like more like first realization. Do you get it now? Now these things are not true. Now at first, when you are from a university, and most times e do take some people like 2 3 years to start getting work. Most of them are going to experience failures, like most of them are going to experience clash, like most of them are going to experience reject and all of those areas. Do you get now? It's not always cool, or less it doesn't always end well when a student just face this or a lot of circumstances when they are out at first. Now if a student having any student having that intention, or let's say having that belief, or let's say having that view that or let's just say realizing, as you say the first realization, degree immediate income, or let's say them realizing or expecting their degree to be a kind of immediate income when they are out from university. Most times it doesn't work like that, and it affects student. Now when you expect your degree to be your immediate income when you're out from university, you may experience a kind of rejection in some occupation or organizations, maybe within some or most or even years depending. Do you get? So you're not even at this at some area at some time you're going to feel depressed and all of this stuff. So you're not going to be our emphasis here is not to, or it's just to enlighten students that at first or their certificate is actually good, but they should not rely on you totally. They should not think or assume that it's going to be a kind of first immediate income, or first degree, just like immediate money, that kind of a thing, because at some time it's going to be lengthy, like the time that you're going to start earning and all of those things is going to take for a while. And when you're not stable, or when you're not capable to withstand all the challenges that you're gonna face, maybe during getting work or during applying for a work and all of those things, it's going to really affect that. So uh, every student is meant to have the primary knowledge of all of these things that we're talking about here, in order not to get or be a victim of this, or start of being depressed. So that's just our emphasis here. And again, the pressure to look successful. Now these are just under what's it called, money shock after school. The pressure to look successful. At first, you're going to be people are going to start seeing you as a successful person, but moreover you're a successful person. You went to university and you graduated with a good certificate, maybe you're not opportune to get so, but there will be a pressure to look successful. There will be a pressure to dress your, there will be a pressure to act like others. There will be a pressure to, and all of these pressures, the more this thing, like the more the pressure, the more the what's it called, the effect on that individual, be it female or male. Now the pressure to look successful mainly comes from families and friends, or let's say communities. Now this pressure can be, and this pressure, remind you, has a side effect that you're not, that will always affect at last. Now as I said, this pressure is to look good, to act like others, to act or package like others, maybe on social media and all of those stuff. Do you get now? Or to feel among all of these things. Now if you're a student that is not stable, you're not stand, you're not or a kind of strong on your own. Now when these pressures comes, is either going to affect you psychologically. Psychologically, I mean here is by maybe depression. You're going to start overthinking. You're going to start considering a lot of factors, or let's say a lot of job offers, or just anything that can, like anything can look like an opportunity, or let's just say something to go or go ahead with. That's psychologically, I mean. Then it's still going to affect you, or maybe I don't know, but individually by maybe you're going to start acting, or you're going to start living expensive life and all of those things that you cannot afford. Maybe at last it's going to land you into debts, or you're going to owe a lot of people, you're going to behave like the person that you're not. Do you get it now? All of this has a bad effect and is under what's it called, under pressure to look successful, under pressure to look successful. So at first we all are going to be successful, but at first if you're a student and you're coming out, you're going to start a kind of, you're going to have this mindset that it might occur, and if you don't want to get into this problem that I mentioned, you're going to have a solid foundation. And if you're not opportune to get this knowledge that I'm saying, and you're already out, you can start putting some things down, you can start developing some mindset and some attitudes, you can start working on yourself, you're actually going to swim it up, you're not a failure. Moreover, you get it. So that's for that. So the third this thing we have under money shock after school is poor money habit formed in school. Now I'm going to elaborate a lot of things is going to be said here. Poor money habits formed from school. At first, when you're in school, as I said something like students in school and versus student out from school. As for students in school, that's when you're still in school, you're going to be most of your bills is going to be funded by your parents. You're going to be kind of, some people do get or something like a monthly allowance and all of those stuff, weekly allowance, and moreover you're still going to depend on some people around and all of this stuff. Now when you fail to emulate, or let's say have a good attitude when you're still in school, by when it has to do with matter of money, you're going to, at first, is when you have all of this support system. Normally everybody can be anybody, it can be anybody here now. So when you feel when you have all of this support system, you're going to be living in a certain way, but you're going to actually be spending. You're not, because at first you have a support system. So when you spend, when your money finish, you have someone to call, remind you. I'm saying from a student still in school, or you actually have a support system, and you're going to be making some expenses that you're not going to actually be tracing. You're not going to be tracing expenses. You're not going to be uh, thinking before you spend. Like a lot of things is going to be happening while you're still in school. Now when you take this attitude, or let's say character, and you're going to start exhibiting it when you're out from school, it's going to really affect you. Because when you run out of cash in school, you have someone to come. But when you're out and you're still doing all of these things, and you run out of cash and nobody, like I don't know, some people still have someone to call, but it's not going to be like when you're still in school. Do you get it now? So that's poor money habit from the school. And poor money habit from the school is just like students, they are not able to save. They are just going to be spending whatever that comes to their pocket. They are going to spend. They are going to look for expensive things to buy and all of these things. Now it's the habit, and when you form this habit, and when you're out from school and you're still exhibiting it, as I said, or you're still living towards that, you know, adjustments, like no things to change, is really going to affect you really much. It's going to affect your living. You're not going to be budgeting well. It's going to affect your spendings. Like you're going to be spending more than you earn. Just like a graduate that graduated, somebody that was once in school and has a lot of support system, and you're being funded and bills are being taken care of by some certain people, and you're out now, and you're actually working maybe in one relation like that, and you're going to take that attitude or that habit towards that. You're going to be buying a lot, and within a month, or let's just say within the specific period of time you worked, maybe your salary is 20k or 40k, and you just check your expenses, you realize that you have even spent more than that your salary. Do you get it now? So these are ways it can affect when the student is out, and this is what we're trying to avoid. So even if you have a lot of support system, just try making budget. Like try tracking your expenses, try spending moderate, like try not to spend lavishly and all of this stuff. So that's what you're talking on poor money habit from the school, because this is a very very bad habit. And when you actually lived like this in school, and you fail to make some adjustments out when you're out from school, is really going to affect a lot, as I said. And I said something about, I gave an illustration by somebody working, and you're not accountable to yourself by your by your expenses. You're already spending a lot, like you're just buying and all of those without thinking, without having, or let's say checking you have to, you like all of those stuff. So you're only going to run out of some funds and all of those stuff. So it's really going to affect your living as a young to pay very very close to this area. You get it? All right, good. So I think the fifth one we have here is students can prepare before graduation, like way out. Do you get? Just like a way out. It's more like a way out. Shit, I'm not. I can't reply here now. I know someone is saying something. Alright, let's just continue. Maybe I'll reply later. It's just like what we say here is students can prepare before graduation. It's just like a way out of this money shock after school. Do you get? So it's just more like a way out. We are just suggesting something, and we are just giving a kind of direction. Students can really I will say, and I will explain. Now at first, students, you are a student preparing, act of getting ready, out of expecting something, being in an expectant situation, or that kind of a thing. Now towards before graduation. Now this is just this make the reference of you as a student laying some foundation. I don't mean physical foundation or I don't know block foundation or whatever, but what I'm saying here is just a kind of pillars, support systems that will help you even when you're out, that you're not going to, even when you're out and it happens that you're not opportunity to start working immediately, or let's say start gaining financial support, you're still going to stand your ground. Like you're not going to turn to a beggar, or you're not going to be seen as a loser or someone that wasted his or her years in school. And you're not you is not going to start saying school is scam, because when you start seeing yourself as a failure, it looks as if school is a scam, that you wasted your years and time. When you start seeing others that even that didn't attain, that you're not opportune to go to school with you, when you start seeing them as more successful people than yourself, you're going to occur to you literally that school is a scam. And that's what we were trying to avoid here by giving you some blueprints, some steps to start taking to get now. So that's for that. And a kind of asterisk is under or students can prepare before graduation. As I said, it is just more like laying some foundation, more like start doing something, more like start taking some steps, more like start seeing things in a different way. It's more like start considering some of things around. This can be, it can be anything. It can be business. It can mean you starting up a business. And in one of our live stream section, I will give a kind of a very very more or portable, or let's say flexible business that students can easily go away with, that is not going to be affecting their studying life or the academy. So actually student can do business more flexible one at that. So as I said, I'm going to be making a live stream section on that. But for the sake of this tutorial, let me just say some things. Like you can make, or you can do some a lot of flexible business, that maybe eatable something like snacks and all of those stuff to your lecture rooms and all of this stuff. So it's really going to help you financially, like start gaining, or else you can actually learn a skill online or outline, I don't know, online or offline. Online I mean here is maybe you can watch a tutorials on how to do a particular thing, maybe freelancing, all of those stuff, ghostwriting, like video editing, all of those stuff. These are soft skills that students can actually engage in, that when they are well equipped and competent enough on it, they are actually going to create value to society. They are actually going to be valued. Even without your certificate, you're actually going to be first, you're actually going to be wanted, like people are actually going to be looking for you when you are well competent in area of skill that you're doing perfectly well in. So these are a kind of opportunities that students can just venture into themselves, like, or get themselves into while they are still in school. Now it is going to really help them if they are out. Now You can do freelancing work, you can do digital marketing, you can be a affiliate marketer. All of these things are a very a kind of opportunities. You can, or you can be working for people online, like you can be a vendor, you can do content creating, you can just start. As I said, all these things I'm saying here is a kind of foundation to lay, because when you're out, some plans that, or let's say some things you expect to or be or fall into a certain way is not actually going to be used. So you're not actually really going to be at you're not going to be losing by, if you start laying all of this foundation I'm saying here, if you start getting some things done, if you start putting some things in place, if you start laying some support system for yourself, uh you're actually going to still stand in regards to anything that happens when you're out, in regards to even when they stop giving you allowances and all of those things, you're still going to stand your ground and maintain your steeze. So these are all we wish for Nigerian students. And still under that, students can prepare before graduation. Now, as I said earlier, it has to do with them getting themselves in some certain things that has to do with skill and getting some knowledge that can actually as well of give them money or create value, because value is number one. When you create value, you're going to get money in return. So you're not going to be expecting money or expecting some funds from, or maybe sweat or anything without you creating value. At first, you're going to be valuable assets. You're going to be creating value. And creating value, I mean here, is by learning something that can solve a problem, maybe teaching or only anything around this arena, anything around these things that I'm saying here, anything around this nature that I'm saying here can actually serve as that. So, and I made mention of some notable quotes, which is money shock is not about being broke, it's about being prepared. Now, let me explain. Money shock is not about being broke, it's about being prepared. As well as I said, you cannot you can as well be fund, like you can as well have some access to some things, but it's still money shock because it's more like being prepared. You can also have zero money, but you're not going to feel even when you're out. It's more like being prepared, more like have something. It's more like decision. It's more like taking steps. It's more like seeing some things in a different way. Do you get it now? So it's no more like money shock is not is not about being broke. You must not be broke as a student before it looks as if money shocked you. Or let's just say I don't know where to, but you must not look foolish, or you must not look as a failure before people start seeing that, or you start seeing yourself as a kind of money shocks you after school, but in a different way, by you're going to be a kind of prepared mentally, psychologically, academically, all around. You're going to be prepared. Now, when you're prepared, even when things get out of hand, like even when things slacked, even when things turn to other angles and all of those things, you're still going to stand your ground, like you're still going to stand strong. That's just all I'm saying. And another quote, I have about three quotes that's very, very vital. So a certificate increase potentials, it increase potentials, not guaranteed income. Certificates increase potentials. Potential, I mean, when you graduate, when you're a graduate with a first class, second class, a very good certificate, and it's a kind of, it's more like a potential. It gives you more room, or let's say more opportunity, but it doesn't guarantee income. Now, it doesn't guarantee income in the sense of, even with those your or goods or assets as degrees and all of that, even if you're to apply in an organization, as far as you all know how a kind of job system in Nigeria normally, or in elsewhere normally looks like, it's more like you're starting up work. You're not expected to start early million. You're not expected to, as far as you're just upcoming, so any amount can just go well for you. You're not expected to start making massive money at that point in time, or at that moment. So it doesn't give you a sure guarantee of income. It's more like an opportunity, a potential. Do you get? It's more like access to many rooms or many doors, or some certain areas, or some certain getting to certain places, but it doesn't give you 100% guarantee of income. So that's why the emphasis of laying some foundation as a student cannot be overemphasized, and we cannot stop talking about it for our future students, and in order for them to make some appropriate decisions and stuffs. Do you get it now? So another quote, money problems after school often begins with the habit formed during school. Money, sorry guys, money problems, it's just like what we were talking about, a money shock, so it appropriately can be, it can as well be referred as money problem. So it's not okay, money problem after school often begins with the habit formed. It often begins with the habit formed, as I said in one of these thing. I said when they have all of this support system in school, they are actually going to be spending or doing things in a certain way. And when this ability, or let's say habit, gets into them, and they carried it out from school, and they are going to be or when they feel not to make some necessary adjustments or some changes in regards to their spending, they are more going to be spending more than they are earning. Do you get it now? So this is when it has to do with this is when it now relates to money problem after school often begins with habits formed in school. So when they are a kind of formed, or let's just say enveloped, or let's just say imbued with all of these habits, they are not going to be ending well, or like it's going to really affect their becoming, it's going to really affect their house, or it's going to really affect when they are out. So that's what that quote is just trying to communicate. Two more quotes is many. So okay, the next quote is, income follows value, not certificate. My god, I don't know, this my quote is somehow wrong, but not wrong as well. Let me explain. As well, your certificate as well can as well give you income by when you're working in a very good organization, or when you're just doing a very good work. Maybe your certificates are like guaranteed you to that. Actually, is income when you're earning is income, but it's not sure 100% sure, because Michael say income follows value, and as well that your both certificate will as well be sacked or anything. That's not what I'm praying here, but these are real life events that can actually happen in some time, and a lot of things can cause a lot of things, as I said. So it's it's more like follows value. Even with that your big certificate, even with that your good or discipline this that you study, you're going to actually be creating value, because value is the number one priority that even organizations or accept. It's just like you, when you're applying for a job, most of them are going to be testing you some areas. Some is going to be a kind of core or competence ability. Some is going to be a kind of mind, how you can handle pressure, how you can handle issues, how you can relate to their customer before they was even employ you in that organization. So it's more like value. Even without your big certificate, if you don't have value, you're not going to be a kind of be valued. Like you're not going to start earning. Is okay, is income, you're not going to start getting income, because at first you must deliver value. Even on the internet, if you're doing anything and you're not delivering value, is out of the matter. Like what people prioritize, what people want, what people or won't get tired of seeking from you is your value that you normally create, is the ability for you to constantly or daily or offer value to them. Do you get me now? So you cannot in an organization where maybe it's computer based, and you're not going to be well equipped, or let's say you're not going to be functioning well, or let's just say you're not going to be serving them the need why they employed you. They will just break down your big certificate and give you to leave. This is just the fact about life. So students are not to be left behind in gaining all of this knowledge. So they should kind of start preparing academically, that's cool, and as well mentally, psychologically, all around competent, like being assessed or being capable of doing a lot of things, or let's just say developing themselves, more like self development. So it's more like self development, because they will drop that certificate and you're going to be undergoing some test, and test can be anything. It differs, like it can be anything when it has to do with getting employed. they are going to test in their areas. Most people is going to be orally, like they are going to interact, they are going to see how you reason, they are going to see how you respond to some questions, they are going to ask you some certain questions that they are going to expect you to answer in some certain way. And if you fail to a kind of give them this a kind of alignment, you're failed. That's just the simple truth. You're just failed. So it really affects us all. So that's just what our quotes that it income follows value. So as I said earlier, you must deliver value. Value is number one priority that every human being prioritize. So that's for that. Then the last but not the least quote is lack of financial preparation, sorry, leads to desperation, not progress. Now, when you lack financial preparedness, like when you fail to prepare financially, when you fail to lay some vital foundations that can serve as a support system for you during when you're in deficiency of something, you're actually going to land you into desperation, not progress. Now you're going to be desperate in sense of like when you feel, or when you feel to take responsibility, or let's say charge of your financial life aspect, or something that has to do with finance as a student, as a young adult. You're going to or be desperate in future time, or less any time about something. Just like when you don't have money, when you're seeing any work offer, you're going to also consider it. Anything is going to be like things to accept. Like you're probably not going to have a say to your community. Anything can just work for you. This is just it, and be it good or bad, you're just going to enter, put your head. Do you get it now? So these are what you are trying to avoid. And any student that takes care of his or her financial aspect of life, start making plans, start putting some foundation, start laying some structures, start thinking out of box, start picturing or things before they happened, is not going to fall or be a victim of this, and is going to end well. That's for that. And uh as well, even most organizations now, I'm just showing this as a kind of expertise, most organizations now are not interested in certificate. They are just more like interested in their value that you're going to be giving. What value can you create? What can you solve? What is your worth? Like what is your value? What value can you render to this organization? So when such question is thrown to you, like are you going to tell them that you sent me a first class certificate? That's not true. That's not, it's not going to be accepted. Like that's not just cool. So there is a lot of emphasis that students should start doing a lot of things. A lot of things I mean here is in a positive way, like getting to put down their head in learning. Is more like learning, because as well they are still learning academically, they are still going to be learning all of these things that has to do with learning. So learning is more like an endless thing for a student, because once you're an adult, you're expected to or act in some certain ways, solve some certain problems, like which you, of course, you're expected to, because you're an adult. And when you fail to uh, fix all of this, is like when you fail to solve all of these problems, you're going to be seen as a failure. That's just it, and that's not what we wish for our Nigerian students and relative as well. And this as well, all of this I said pertains to secondary school, is not limited only to university students, because this has to do with adults as well. You can as well have adults in secondary schools, and maybe as well just in secondary schools and university. So if you're secondary school student that you're not, what I'm saying here also pertains to you. Like it relates to you as well. You have to, you ought to start getting, like you ought to start mingling, or let's just say start taking or emulating all I'm saying here, because it also relates to or has to do with you as well. So you're not left behind, or let's just say you're not expected to see it as something in future that, or maybe something you will just start doing in future time, is now is the future. Let's say that now is the future, because anything you fail to do now, like anything you do now, it replicates in the future, or it determines the future. So probably now is the future. So you're not expected to postpone or procrastinate it in the future time. So just start acting upon it. If you're a student already, start immediately. It's just like, it is more like an immediate action step. Start acting on this immediately, because there is no time, and before you know, you're out from the university and you're going to start, all of this is going to just come just like that. And when you're not strong, when you're not mentally prepared, when you're not financially prepared, when you don't have solid foundations, like, it's really going to shake you. Life is going to push you to the wall, and you're going to face the pressure, you're going to face anxiety, you're going to face a lot of things. Like, be you're going to look depressed, and this this can happen to anybody, as I said. So, and as I said, that doesn't mean that you failed, but that is a sign of unpreparedness. But when you're prepared, that's the reason of our sections, your life was streaming, and trying to give or pass a bit knowledge on what student doesn't know, or what student don't know, because they are more taught, like school. Like as I said, school won't teach you about life. Life is a very broad course on its own that nobody teach you. Like, nobody is interested to teach you while you're still in the university, because that's not why you're not there to study life, you're there to study as well. It's called school. Yeah, and it's more like academic something. So everything you're going to be taught is more like disciplines, courses, and your areas of concentration, and why you're there is to obtain a very good degree. So that's what they're going to be teaching actually. But what I'm saying here, it's a very big course on its own. It's life, the facts about life. When you're out, what happens, like, when things get heated, like when things feel the way you planned it, things to do, things to put in, and that's just all you're saying, and nothing more than that. So if you're a student and you'll be following us, I don't know, just, and if you have said anything that have benefited you, or like if you have communicated sense, or like you have developed your mindset in some areas, you can just consider giving us a thumbs up. We are not asking for much. Like, just give us a thumbs up, drop any comment, drop anything, like, we'll see you, and we'll probably reply. We are much grateful, and I appreciate the fact that you all watched, and uh more live streaming sessions are coming, and you're going to be treating a lot of vital topic that has to do with student, that relates to Nigerian student, and uh still trying to develop everybody as well ourselves, because we are not uh excluded, like, we are not left behind. We are still a student. So we all are actually going to grow together, and get I don't know, like, you are not going to feel. So that is you know of our live streaming sessions, and I love everyone. This is web graphics, as I said. So we are in all social media and those, but probably in YouTube here we normally stream, and all our streaming sections is for students, as I said. UF graphics on YouTube, UF graphics on Facebook, UF graphics on TikTok and Instagram. So you can follow us in all our social media handles, and we are very, very much grateful to you. Alright, guys, at this moment, at this period, we're going to be going offline to do some certain things, as I said. Alright, so I appreciate the fact that everybody watched, everybody, guys, I really appreciate, like, I really appreciate. So you're going off. Thanks for watching. Let's see you next time. Thank you. Alright, guys.